the band play.
100K on the protect, living life with no regrets. These out when I get dressed. Summertime, I'm with a fresh. Put a leg behind her head. Night, she gonna bed. Bye-bye. Every day it's a new test. I just keep chasing these chicks. Living life with no regrets. Living life with no regrets.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 11 of Sled Talk. Thanks for tuning in, whether you're listening on podcast platforms or if you're watching this on YouTube. Today is a unique episode. So for those of you watching, you will notice that we have a little bit of a different setup. So we are doing our first ever virtual podcast. So we're doing with a video call. So on YouTube, Jeff will split up the screen so you'll be able to see this, but kind of a unique situation here. We have this guest, Jaden Ballard. Welcome onto the show, dude. He is up in Coeur d'Alene, so it's a little bit of a different setup. So like three and a half hours away from where we're at. And so we wanted to give this virtual podcasting setup a try. So without further ado, let's get into this. Jaden, thank you again for working through the trials and tribulations of figuring out all the audio and the video stuff for doing this virtual podcast. I know you and I have been talking for quite a while, trying to get you on the show and whether or not we would come up to Idaho or whatever. And we still very much, that might be a possibility for sure to do one with you in person. But yeah, so dude, let's start off with a little bit of an introduction to who you are, where you're from, what you do, all that good stuff.
Yeah, right on. Well, I'm Jaden Ballard. I'm 23 years old, and I am born and raised in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. For work, I own a pest control company. I just started it a year ago. Before that, I worked at a mine as a water treatment plant operator. And then as far as snowmobiling goes, I think this is my 9th year on a snowmobile. I started on an 06 Skidoo 800.
Okay. And
pretty much just trashed that thing. Just learning how to ride. And after that, my dad gave me his 08 Skidoo. And again, pretty much trashed that, unfortunately. And then I, of course, passed both those sleds to my brother. And then after that, I had to start buying my own sleds. So I bought a 15 Skidoo 800. And I took better care of that one. I was still trying to learn how to ride. Yeah. But then I snow checked a Polaris 850 in 2019. And that's when the snowmobiling got real for me.
Okay, cool. So a couple of things there. Thank you for sharing all of that. First thing is, what made you switch from a Skidoo over to Polaris? I'm sure people are going to want to know.
Yeah. So there was like nobody in our local area that I saw riding a Polaris. And of course I watched all the videos of Chris Brandt and Andy Thomas and all those guys. And just kind of wanted to make the switch and figured I had all the time in the world to make the switch and switch back if I didn't like it.
Sure.
And I did not end up switching back. I bought a 2019 Skidoo 850 and I missed the Polaris. So I switched back again this year. Well, last year.
Gotcha. Okay. And so I can see in the background your sled back there. Let's talk.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting on it now.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Let's talk about the setup. So what all, any kind of modifications and overall what the actual sled is. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I bought it last year. It's a 2020 Polaris 850 RMK Pro. It's a 163 originally, and I ended up cutting 10 inches off the tunnel last year. And I just kind of rode it that way. When I got it, it had a gear down kit.
Okay.
And then I threw a clutch kit on it from Carl Cycle, and that's just how I rode it last year. Over the summer, I converted it to a 155 Chaos. So that's how I'm ripping it this year.
Nice. Okay. Right on. No, it's a killer sled. It's got a few parts and pieces. Actually, one of the pieces on that sled is mine. Is the hood still?
Yeah,
Is it
man,
still in one
hood.
piece or?
Thanks for that. Yeah. So last year I hit a tree while I was doing a hop over and just crunched the hood. So luckily I found that hood from you.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the start of our back and forth conversation.
Yeah, it was.
That's funny. And so
Yeah, I saw. Oh, go ahead.
You saw what?
I saw on your Instagram that you bought a skins hood. So I was like, oh, I got to hit him up, see if he still got that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then you hit me up just the other day for a front track shock. Well, I messaged you. I saw that you were looking for one. So another mishap. Talk about what happened there.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what happened, to be honest. I just got back from a call, and while I was down there on the second day, apparently it busted the spring, and I rode it the whole third day with that busted spring. So
Nice.
I pretty much felt every single bump, and my track was ratcheting pretty bad all day.
No, I'm sure. But you have new parts on the way, right?
Yeah, sure do. Yeah, I found somebody on social media who had a velocity shock, so I'm going to throw that on there.
Heck yeah. Perfect. Nice. Well, good. Yeah, it's funny. So if you've seen it on Instagram, I've peeled off a lot of the stock parts off of that sled, and I sold the hood to you, and I had a buddy here locally that just bought the stock running boards from me, and the same kid hit me up. He busted a lower right A-arm, but his was on an 18, so it doesn't, the 21, it doesn't, it doesn't fit. So I couldn't sell him that one. But it's funny because, like, I have, for any of you listeners out there too, I have a stock 165 skid with both the, both track shocks, FYI.
Well, don't sell that. I might need it soon.
Okay. I'll put your name on it then, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So let's, I guess let's take it to kind of talking. I think we should start off with your company. Is it cool? How are you pronouncing it? Core Freshies or
Killer? Oh, Core.
Yeah.
The snowmobile company. Yeah. It's called Core Freshies. Because I'm from Coeur d'Alene.
Sure.
A lot of people probably see the name and don't know how to pronounce it, but it is Core, like Coors Light.
Got it. So take us through like a little bit of backstory on how you like came up with that idea and what is the purpose of that company. I know you have some sweatshirts and stuff. So
a year and a couple months ago, I started it in November of 2020. I just kind of wanted to, I guess, like showcase mine and my friends' snowmobiling abilities, I guess you could say. And I didn't really want to do it on my personal social media page because I just have a lot of friends and family on there that literally don't care about snowmobiles.
Sure. So
I figured I'd just start another page and start fresh and kind of try to get, I guess, every local snowmobiler. I just wanted to meet every local snowmobiler and be able to ride with anyone that I wanted to, whenever I wanted to. Because I had a weird work schedule, 7 on, 7 off. So I just didn't always have the opportunity to ride with everybody that I normally ride with.
Gotcha. So like creating a community, showcasing your style and the stuff that you do, but then also creating like a sled community with your local area.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great idea. And it's, I've been following you for quite a while, and it's taken off. Getting quite a few followers.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Yeah, I just hit 5,000 somehow.
Heck yeah. It's a good feeling. It's cool. I get a hell of a kick out of watching all of your content. You are an incredible writer. Obviously I've never met you in person or anything. And just like watching the progression, like obviously, you've been doing a lot of stuff. Like you said, this is your 9th season, correct? So you've had tons of reps and stuff. And just in the last year and a half of watching your content and stuff and just seeing the progression through a screen, right? Like I've never met you, never seen you in person, never ridden with you. And just like, I'm all about giving credit where it is due and deserved, and you definitely deserve all the credit and everything, all the followers, everything, attention that is given to you, man. You're a lot of fun to watch. You're really good on a sled.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Heck yeah. No, it's super cool. And Jeff and I have talked several times about, really trying to logistically figure out how to meet you, and ride with you and do another podcast in person. And so, I mean, obviously everybody has crazy schedules and whatnot, but, you make time for what's important to you, and it's important for me to meet you and come up there. So I'm definitely looking forward to that in the future, whether that's this season, if we can pull it off, great. If not, next season. But, so let's talk a little bit about, your progression on the sled, right? So I guess like what's the biggest thing as far as like what's driving you to, perfect or attempt your hopovers and your bow ties and all that kind of stuff? Like what's going through your mind as far as like this season of what you're trying to, progress personally with those?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of the progression actually comes from riding with so many different people. It's super cool to actually have the opportunity to ride with so many. Like, I think last year I rode with like 45 new people that I hadn't met before.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to see all those different styles is like a game changer, I guess, because not only do I get to watch it, but I get to learn it, because I'm a super hands-on learner. So,
Same.
I mean, just going and riding with anybody, whether it be you or Chris Brandt or Caleb Kosterke, for example, just watching their riding, it improves my riding big time, because then I push to ride like them.
100%. I mean, dude, that's it's like finding a shortcut essentially, right? Because you are hands-on learning from somebody that's already ran the rep 100 times, and they can give you advice because they've already learned from the mistakes that they've made, right? So like, sure, you're still going to attempt to make mistakes and whatnot, but it's like a fast track in a sense, right? Like, you still have to take the action and get it done yourself. But I mean, it's like with anything, right? Like whether that's snowmobiling or like in the gym, right? Like working out with somebody that's been in the gym for 2 or 3 years, right? And knows how to properly lift weights, and if I walk in there and I don't know anything about it, but I'm going with a coach or a mentor or whatnot, it just fast tracks the stuff. Same thing like with business or wherever you're trying to get in life, get around people that are on the level that you're trying to get to and fast track, when at all possible. So, no, I think that's good. I can't reinforce to you enough how fun it is to watch your videos, and I try to break them down and study them as much as I possibly can, just like paying attention to where your feet are, where your head's at when you're going into a certain slope or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's really dope to watch you. Let's talk about I guess, where are all the places that you have been able to ride on a sled?
So, I mean, I really haven't been that many places. I got married last July. And for my bachelor party, I went to McCall for the first time.
Okay.
So that was a blast. I did that last season. And I just got back from McCall again. So that was my second time ever being there. But other than that, in 2019, when I snow checked that Polaris 850, I went down to Colorado and rode Buena Vista with Chris Brandt.
Oh, you did one of his Brandt's Backcountry Adventure clinics?
Yep, I forked over some cash and did the clinic. It was a really cool learning experience. I'm glad I did it.
Sure. Definitely.
I don't know that I'd pay for it again.
Oh, okay.
But I'm stoked I did it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's good. Have you ever been over like into Montana or anything, or Wyoming?
Yeah. So I went to Cook City for the first time last year. I've only been there once. Unfortunately, the people that I rode with there didn't have a ton of knowledge of the area. Gotcha. So I didn't get to see all the cool stuff that everybody rants and raves about.
Sure. Gotcha.
But other than that, that's about it, man. I pretty much just ride local.
Weren't you earlier this season? Didn't you hop over to Sealy?
Oh yeah. So I just went to Sealy Lake with. So we filmed for 509. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And 509 is one of your sponsors, correct?
Yeah. So I just hopped on the 509 team this year.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Once again, back to the progression, that it's just so crazy where it's gone in a year. So, I started the page a year and less than a year and a half ago. And I went from not knowing how to be sponsored to being sponsored by a couple of companies. And it's really eye-opening and super cool.
Yep, absolutely. So you've got 509 on board, and who else? What are your other sponsors for this season?
Yeah, so RSI Racing, they've got the handlebars for me and some ice scratchers.
Nice.
And Sled USA, Justin Ponzer, and then Highmark by Snowpulse, the airbags.
Sure. Nice. Right on. Dude, that's super cool. Do you have your sights set on any other companies that you want to try to team up with, or to see where it takes you?
I'm just kind of seeing where it takes me, man. I hate to be the pushy guy and just reach out to people I don't know and ask them for free stuff. That's not
Sure.
necessarily how I like to go about things.
Yeah.
But I do understand a lot of people start there too.
Yeah. Got to start somewhere, I suppose.
Yep.
No, that's super exciting. Yeah, it's cool to partner up with different companies and whatnot. Especially if you really believe in their product too. Like, it's one thing to be given something or have somebody reach out to you and say, hey, wear this and put it in one of your videos or something, versus like a company that you actually like bond with and believe in their mission and their values and their products and stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty cool to have that, all of those on your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
It's definitely made the season quite a bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. So I guess from here, let's take it to Jeff. You got something?
I would ask him what advice he has for people that want to get sponsored also.
Okay.
What would you tell someone that's wanting to follow the same path as him?
Yeah. So I always cue in Jeff from time to time. He always I shouldn't say always. He doesn't always have good ideas, but from time to time he definitely has some good bullet points and good thoughts and stuff. And that's something that's cool about having him here too, right? Like, he can watch from a different perspective. And so something that he just brought up was off of the sponsorships and these different companies and stuff. If you had like any type of advice as far as like being able to team up with these companies that you've seen so far that's worked out for you, if you have any kind of advice for people looking to acquire this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say the best way to get a sponsor is to build a relationship with the company first. Just learning who works there and what they're into. Obviously don't be a stalker, but just figure out who runs the place and kind of what they're about. And if you can get out and go for a ride with them, that's awesome. And just start basic, I guess. Don't just DM them and ask for the world,
Right. Well, and that's a big thing. I think that's a great point. I'm going to tee off that as well. Just kind of with my side of it and my experience of it is, don't come across as like just hitting companies up and like, hey, can you send this to me for free? There needs to be an equal exchange of value, right? And so,
absolutely.
Because otherwise to them, what's the point? You have to keep in mind too that they're probably getting hit up by hundreds, if not thousands of people wanting free stuff, right? And so, you have to do it in a unique way that is worth their while too, right? Like, they're a business, they need to make money, they need to grow, they need, they've got employees and payroll and all that kind of stuff too, right? Like, and so the way that I have like kind of approached, because I've reached out to a handful, so I did this with Climb and was able to get approved to be an ambassador for them. And then I'm working on a couple other companies right now too. And a big thing for me is leveraging the platform, right? Social media, right? Now, I don't have a ton of followers on the SledSend Instagram page. TikTok is, we just passed 7,000 on TikTok, and that's doing pretty well. But,
nice.
And the numbers with the podcast and the amount of downloads and stuff that we're getting, and then, shameless plug. Jeff's pretty freaking good with a camera. And so we're able to,
Jeff's
really,
amazing.
What's that?
Jeff's amazing with a camera, dude.
His head's back there just going like this. But being able to leverage the attention of your social platform or platforms, and then obviously being able to have a dope video set up to get quality content. But then another thing for me specifically that I've leveraged too is just my background and knowledge in digital advertising, and understanding what these companies are looking for from like an ad perspective too, right? Like we kind of approach it in a way of like, so we did some stuff, we acquired, and I haven't talked to them by any means, but we acquired some of the like pre-workout and stuff for Mountain Ops, and we shot some. They're still in the hard drive right now. We haven't put anything out by any means, but doing specific things for intentionally just shooting content and making like a 15-second ad of that product. To which, again, like that specific example, I haven't talked to them. I haven't reached out to them or anything. We're just going to make it because I had already ordered it. Honestly, I ordered it just to get entries in that Chris Brandt sled giveaway. So I bought like 3 bottles of them. But anyway, so, that's my intention on stuff like that is like, yeah, sure, it'd be cool to get a discount on products or get products for free or whatever it is. But, I'm all about, sure, it's cool to get stuff for myself, but like, what can I do for you as the company? Like, how can I help you guys so that there is that mutual value exchange, right? So another example is, I don't know if you've seen them. They're like 900 followers on Instagram. It's either Connected or Connect Adventures. They make Bluetooth headphones that go inside of your helmet. So they do it for like skiers, snowboarders, dirt bikers and stuff. And back when sorry, I'm talking a lot. We have the guest on here, but back when I used to ride by myself, which is a big no-no with snowmobiling, but it was just before I knew anybody to snowmobile with, I used to listen to music all the time. Now today, not so much, just because like oftentimes you can be in areas where like you need to be paying attention to where your friends are and you need to be able to listen and stuff. But they're in the middle of creating a product that, it's all Bluetooth and it's connected to your phone and stuff, but they're making a new product that's the same setup, but then you can connect it to your radio, right? So I don't know if there's a mic on your helmet that you can key, and then so you don't have to like stop or, whatever, you can just talk to your buddies through the microphone or through the radios, through the headset inside your helmet, which I think is pretty dope.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And so for that company, same kind of thing. I reached out to them, have them be a sponsor on the podcast and do ads for them and videos or whatnot. And they turned around and they just shipped out a free pair of headphones to us today. So we're going to do something like that. So anyways, I tell all that just to explain off Jeff's question there on how to work with, companies if you're trying to acquire sponsorships or whatever it may be. So was there anything else that you wanted to add to that, Jaden?
No, I mean, there's a lot more to talk about in it, but
always
realistically, as long as you're offering up what you have and benefit the company, that's the biggest part of it.
Yeah.
And developing that relationship with the company before asking for all this stuff.
100%. Jeff, you just threw your arm in the air. You got something else?
I think maybe it would be interesting to have him talk about the Chris Brandt deal he went to.
Okay. Yeah, I can
jump into it a little bit, talk about who he thinks it's a good fit for.
Okay.
What he maybe learned.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll jump into that one. Something I do want to ask you specifically, just because I think it's interesting. I want to know, if anything at all, Jaden, when you are, sitting on your sled in the neutral position and you're mapping out a zone or a slope or a hillside or something, right? And you find your line and you are like, all right, I'm going to attempt to hop over, or I'm going to do a bow tie right here. What can you walk us through, like, if there is one at all, if maybe you just rip and go for it, but is there any kind of like mental chatter in your brain as far as like what you're telling yourself, or maybe it's like a stickier situation and you're not super comfortable with it? Do you have any thoughts that run through your mind of like how you talk to yourself about, overcoming a fear or a challenge or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I guess just on like a pretty technical line while I'm going. I mean, are we talking like a super technical line where I'm going for it, trying to make it to the top, or like? So, yeah, so I guess on a line,
either one.
just trying to make it.
Go ahead.
I'm just kind of about my momentum mostly. If there's, a tree in the way or something, and I just need to do a hop over, I'm just instantly looking for the first feature in front of me that I can use to help get me up and over.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, a lot of the sleds, this sled with the Chaos profile rails on it, it'll come up and over pretty easy, just on a hillside. But when it was 163 Pro, I had to look for every single little bump on the hillside and use the momentum I had to get it up and over to do the hop over or a bow tie.
Sure, gotcha. So you are more focused on what you need to do as far as your foot position or looking for angles in the snow or whatnot to accomplish whatever task you're trying to do, correct?
Yeah.
Instead of worried about like, oh, if I mess up on this and the consequences below, if my sled rolls or anything, you don't even think or really ponder through that stuff at all?
I mean, I try not, I don't even actually think to like, I guess, worry about what's going to happen if my foot slips off the rail, or if the hop over doesn't work. You just kind of have to plan for it to work, and then what's your next move? Otherwise, you probably will mess up like every time.
Well, I mean, that's kind of why I was asking, just because I wanted to see what you would say as far as like, so I look at that in the sense of like what you focus on becomes fact. So if you are sitting there focusing on like, oh my gosh, oh no, the fear, like what happens if I do this, and oh my gosh, this is going to break and this costs so much money and all this kind of stuff. Well, if you're sitting there focusing on that, that's exactly what's going to happen. Same example of like what Brandt always says of like, if you're looking at that tree, you're going to hit that tree, right? Like same kind of concept. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of, obviously I am nowhere near as far as attempts and doing bow ties and hop overs and whatnot that you do. But I am in the same mental state for myself, right? Like I try not to focus on the fear, because that's what you focus on becomes fact. And I don't want that to happen. So, so no, that's good. I appreciate you sharing that and your thoughts on it. So the next thing, this was something that Jeff had brought up again, was talking a little bit about, I know you mentioned it a little bit ago about going on one of the clinics down there in Colorado for Brandt's Backcountry Adventure. Talk a little bit about what that experience was for you and what you got out of it, for anybody that's thinking potentially about going and doing it themselves.
Yeah. So it was
hold up. Is he breaking up for you? You were breaking up there a little bit. Your audio was. Try again.
Are we now? Cool. So, I mean, as far as people wondering if it's worth going or not, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. I enjoy there a lot. As far as who, I mean, pretty much every rider could benefit from it. I mean, so when you get down to there's groups, there's an advanced group, which is one that I did, and then pretty much.
Hold up, Jaden.
Where
Hold on, man. I hate to interrupt you like that, but something's going on. Sorry for you guys listening in and out. I'm sure there was a cut up there. Again, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, we're attempting and trying this virtual podcast stuff, so the audio's in and out here, so bear with us. But Jaden, I hate to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I know you were on a flow explaining stuff there, but are you walking into closer, better Wi-Fi?
Yeah. That better?
Technology. Oh yeah, that sounds better. So let's go ahead and take that from the top one more try, Jaden.
Yeah. So I mean, as far as if you're wondering if it's worth going or not, I would absolutely say yes. I think everyone can learn from it. They have clinics for the beginners, and then they have clinics for advanced riders, and I did the advanced ride. So I mean, basically the first day on a normal situation, you would just kind of go through the beginner steps, like getting on edge and trying to get to the top of the hill, essentially. And they kind of break your bad habits the first day. The first day that I got there, it snowed like 2 or 3 feet before I got there. So it was an absolute crapshoot, dude. Like, everybody trying everything they could do to not get stuck, and we were just like all trying to have a good time, and so everybody was it was a mess.
Gotcha.
But after that, I mean he still took the time. So like when you do the advanced clinic, you ride with Chris Brandt, and even though it was a crapshoot, he still took the time to kind of watch each individual person and make sure that they were not doing things incorrectly.
Gotcha.
So, like, one thing that I learned, I never kept my finger on the brake. I just always reached for it when I needed it.
Sure.
And that alone just made a huge difference with my riding abilities.
Yeah, there's something that I'll key in on that, because you bring up a really good point. Because it's interesting to ride with people that like talk crap about you doing that. Like, oh,
yeah.
Why would you do that? I don't ever need to do that. I don't ride with my finger on the brake. Well, for me, like, I think a big thing and why people look at it in that sense is that it can be a hard habit to get used to, right? And get comfortable with.
Yeah.
And so for me,
it does not hurt whatsoever to begin with at all.
Right. For me, like, I wanted to do it just because I knew it was important, just based off of watching Brandt and him always saying it. So for the last 2 years, I've just always had my finger on the brake. I mean, even ripping down the trail, just because, not that I would necessarily need it, on the ride out back to the truck, but what it's doing is it's just running the rep of me getting comfortable with my finger there, whether it's your middle or your index or whatever it is. And so I just made it a point to just always keep it on there so that I could get comfortable with it, so that I could create the habit of it. And now if I take it off, I feel like something's wrong, right? Like, it feels super uncomfortable. And honestly, like, there's been situations where that split second of being able to grab that brake makes a huge difference, or can prevent from something bad happening. Whether you want to believe that or not, listeners, that, whether you agree or disagree with what Jaden and I are talking about right now, that's just fact of the matter, in my opinion. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, and I mean, even another thing that I had to learn too with just keeping your finger on the brake is, like, if you watch a lot of my videos when I'm actually doing a hop over or a bow tie, like, even when you're doing that move, you have to have your finger on the brake, because I mean, you use it in the middle of the move every time. So that was another thing that took me a while to get used to and learn.
Sure. 100%. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing your experience. Was that like was it like 3 days of riding, or was it like a 2 day?
Yeah.
It's 3 days of riding.
It's 3 days and 4 nights.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, for me, like, I am pretty interested in doing one of those, whether that's with Brandt or Dan Adams or even Kosterky. Kosterky's only, 6-7 hours from where I'm at, whereas Brandt's like 15.
Yeah.
That's kind of a haul. But I definitely want to do it just to experience it for myself, and then just to kind of get the knowledge around what it actually takes to put one of those together. Because whether you're aware or not, or heard me mention it before, I do SledSend retreats, but all my stuff is geared towards people that have never been on a sled before. Right, like, this is how you start the snowmobile. This is the kill switch. Yeah. This is, this is how you drive it back and forth.
So do you rent the sleds out?
Yeah. So this first retreat that we're doing is not this coming weekend, but the following. So the first weekend in February, and I've got, so my like demographic of people that I'm like gearing this towards is entrepreneurs and business owners that don't necessarily care about investing and becoming a better rider. They just want an adrenaline rush and an experience, right? So, which I'm going to provide that for them. So where I live in Hermiston, Where we're gonna ride, it's like an hour and a half away from Hermiston, and this whole surrounding area, like people don't rent out sleds. It's just like not a thing. And so I have to drive down to Meridian, Idaho, which is like 3 hours for me. Pick up a trailer of 5 sleds, drive all the way back over here, ride Friday, we'll check into the place Friday, and then we'll ride all day Saturday, ride all day Sunday. And then Jeff will take the clients back to the airport on Monday, and I'll turn around and go all the way back to Idaho and drop off the sleds and come back home. But
dang, how many sleds are you renting?
So I've got 5 guys coming. I would like to do, stick it right at 4. But the way that this retreat fell together, it ended up being 5, which is fine. So I'll pull 5 sleds, and since I'm renting that many, they're giving me an enclosed trailer with all of them, which will be pretty sick. So everybody can get dressed or whatever in the trailer and stuff. So, yeah, it'll be it'll be interesting. It'll be our first one that we're doing. So it should be fun. But yeah, I just thank you for sharing, your experience with the retreat or clinic that you went on. I definitely intend on taking one here in the future as well. So yeah, I guess Jeff, did you have another? I mean, I'm good with coming up with questions or whatnot, but I definitely like your input if you think of something. I mean, he has a wealth of knowledge. He's a pretty cool dude.
I mean, it's not necessarily sled related, but you could ask him about his business.
Yeah. So it's your business is Killer Pest? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Killer Pest Control.
Okay. And so is that how you're able to ride sleds in the winter? Because there's not too many pests to kill in the winter time up there? Or?
No, so actually in the winter I kind of gear towards plowing snow.
Sure.
So it's pretty hit or miss with snowmobiling. That's part of the reason why I can ride so much is because when it doesn't snow, I can go ride, but also when it snows, I just can't ever ride.
Sure. Gotcha. Understand. So that you said you started that business how long ago?
Yeah, last summer, last March.
How did you come up with the idea?
So I was working out of town at a mine, working 7 on 7 off, and I did not like leaving. I like being home.
Sure.
If a buddy calls me and says, "Hey, I got an elk down and he needs help packing it out," I like to be able to go help him.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity came up through a person that I used to work with or used to work for. He started the company and wanted me to come in on partnership and kind of help him start it. So
nice. Just
kind of jumped on an opportunity when it came up.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you have to when you're presented with different opportunities. I mean, even if it works out or not, you got to jump on the opportunity for sure. So do you guys take care of bugs and rodents and mice and just
pretty much. So I have a couple. Yeah. The most common question I get is can you take care of my pest of a husband or something like that all the time?
You could turn that into a funny marketing advertisement.
No kidding. But we just take care of normal general pests that you find around the house and rodents and stuff like that.
Probably don't have too many cockroaches up there in Coeur d'Alene, huh? In the cold.
I've only seen one house infested, and it was disgusting.
Dude, so my mom lives in Tampa, Florida, and they're all over down there, right? And I remember as a kid, I moved the oven or something. We were cleaning, and oh my gosh, there was just hundreds of them just went just all over the floor.
No.
Oh my gosh, they're crazy. This is so scary. I don't like bugs or anything. So, but anyways. So yeah, well that's a pretty cool setup to be able to work for yourself and kind of do on-off kind of seasonal thing and be able to prioritize snowmobiling. That's pretty fortunate to be able to do that because there's nothing quite like being able to go ride a sled on a Tuesday. Kind of cool.
I know, man. Absolutely nothing like it.
No, I feel you for sure. So.
Ask him what the future looks like for him. Does he plan his goal to ride sleds full time at some point? Or?
Yeah, that's a good point. You probably didn't hear what Jeff said. Or did you?
I heard him.
Okay, so for the listeners that maybe didn't hear him, so like, what are your plans in the future as far as like, are you trying to turn this into riding full time as an athlete, or where do you want to go with?
I mean, honestly, I don't think I would enjoy that too much. I mean, obviously every day on the snow is super awesome, but
Sure.
I also don't want to burn myself out. I think the ideal season would probably be like 2,000 to 3,000 miles on a sled, which is a ton. I don't get that right now, but if I could ride that much, I'd be stoked. If I had to turn it into a job where I was going out with clients and not enjoying every single day like I do right now, I don't know if I would be as stoked to ride.
Gotcha.
So if I got a couple more days on the snow, I think I'd be very happy with where I'm at now.
Yeah. I mean, dude, did you even know how many times you've already ridden this year so far?
I don't know how many days, but I just rolled over 850 miles for the season.
Good Lord. I think last season I put 600 for the whole season, I think. So that's good. That's a lot of miles for sure. That's good. You're waving your hand at me again? Oh, okay. Perfect. All right. Well, Jaden, I think we're how long? We at 42 minutes, Jeff-ish? Yeah. Right around there. So, Jaden, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. And, you know, I've talked about this previously. I know you've kind of seen how we end these with the sled talk question of the day. So let's kick it over to you as far as like, what do you want to ask all of the listeners and viewers for the sled talk question?
So I mean, I guess my question of the day would be how many guys is too many guys when you go ride? I mean, guys or girls. How many people do you like to ride with in one day?
I think that's a great question. Yeah. What's your number? What's your go-to?
I'd say 3 or 4 max. 3 or 4 is a great number.
I'm right there with you too. That's my answer to that question as well. I mean, it's fun to be a part of a big group. You know, you and I had, before we pressed record, kind of talked about that a little bit. But I guess a part of it is your intention too. But, you know, I so much would rather just go work on reps and get into some gnarly places and get content and stuff. And I mean, having to manage, even keeping track of more than 3 or 4 people is a full-time job in and of itself. So I don't really care much for that. So
especially when one person forgets a radio or anything like that.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, never. Yeah. I ride with people that have radios and they never charge them. So that's always the common theme of.
I used to be the guy.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. 100%. Cool. Well, Jaden, again, I appreciate you jumping on here. We will definitely stay in contact and try to logistically figure out how we can meet up in person for a ride and potentially do another episode, of course, in person. And so, yeah, thank you again for coming on here. And all of you that are listening on, you know, whether it be iTunes or Spotify, please leave reviews. That helps us push, you know, this whole sled talk idea forward. Those of you that are watching on YouTube right now, please hit the subscribe and like button. Smash that like button. Yeah? Huh? It helps us a ton, so I appreciate you guys tuning in. This was episode 11, so we will catch you guys on the next one.
Living life with no regrets. I can't designer when I get dressed. Summertime on winter fresh. I put her legs behind her head. Night she gone to bed. Bye-bye. Every day it's a new test. I just keep chasing these chicks.